The contents of this video are an exercise of my freedom of speech and reflect my personal opinions alone. I hold no responsibility for your reaction to this content. If you feel offended, please understand that your dissatisfaction is noted and is professionally and thoroughly ignored.
What if I told you that what we call the Jholey mentality has very little to do with ideology and everything to do with behavior? Because what we witnessed after September's Gen Z protest and more recently after the arrest of KP Sharma Oli wasn't just politics, it was a pattern. For the purpose of this video, Jholey mentality is not about every supporter of CPN UML. It is a recurring behavioral pattern observed in political discourse, a pattern characterized by loyalty over logic, defense over reflection, reaction over analysis, and most importantly, an inability to process criticism without reframing it as an attack. September. Young people take to the streets, frustration, disillusionment, and anger. This is not unusual. What was interesting, though, was the response. Instead of engagement, we saw dismissal. Instead of reflection, we saw deflection. And instead of asking, why are they protesting? The dominant reaction became, who is influencing them? Let's break this down scientifically. What we are seeing aligns with group identity bias. When criticism threatens identity, the brain doesn't evaluate it. It rejects it and replaces it with something safer. Something like, they are misinformed. They're being used. They don't understand politics. This is not analysis. This is defense. Now, let's simplify this into a few rules, because once you see them, you can't unsee them. Rule number 1. If criticized, do not address the criticism, just redirect to something worse from the past. Rule number 2. If young people speak, question their influence, not their argument. Rule number 3. If evidence appears, question the motive behind it. Rule number 4. If cornered, escalate emotionally, not logically. And my personal favorite, rule number 5. If consequences arrive, call it political vengeance. Now, let's talk about the arrest of KP Sharma Oli. The reaction was immediate. Not shock, not introspection, but a very specific phrase. This is political vengeance. Now, let's pause there, because the word vengeance is doing a lot of work. Revenge or vengeance implies something very specific. It assumes that there was prior wrongdoing, there is an emotional motive, and that there is a cycle of retaliation. In other words, to call something revenge, you are unconsciously accepting that there was something to avenge. Or to put it even more simply, when you call it revenge, you're exposing yourself that you did something wrong in the past.
You got me, partner.
And this is where it gets interesting. This reaction aligns with something called projection bias, where people interpret actions based on what they themselves would do in that situation. So when someone says this is political revenge, the underlying assumption might not be that this is unjust. It just might be, if we were in power, we would do the same. And more specifically in this case, when we were in power, we were doing the same. And this isn't just a theory. I started noticing this in everyday conversations, whether it be online or offline. If you question something, the response never is, let's look at the facts. It's more or less, what about them? Or even worse, you are against us. There is no middle ground, no space for a neutral analysis. You are either inside the group or you are the enemy. And this is where the real problem lies, because this mentality doesn't just defend power, it recycles it. Today's victims become tomorrow's aggressors. Today's revenge becomes tomorrow's justification. And the cycle continues, not because of ideology, but because of mindset. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This is not just a UML problem. This is a political culture problem. UML is just a very visible case study right now, because this mentality, this instinct to defend, deflect, and deny exists everywhere, across parties, across generations. So the real question isn't whether UML is right or wrong. The real question is, at what point does loyalty replace thinking? Because the moment that happens, politics stops being about governance and starts being about identity. And once that line is crossed, no protest is valid, no criticism is fair, and no accountability is real. And that is the Jholey mentality.